My father was a very patient man, a very disciplined man. He worked very hard and stayed his hand. He never was quick to anger with my sister or me. He certainly never raised a hand to us. It wasn't hard to see him as a model for how to behave because I respected him implicitly from the beginning. He was a professor. He was a wonderful man, and he died of Alzheimer's in 2002. The shock of finding out about Alzheimer's was extraordinary. My father took the news like a champ. He wasn't really around though when I had figured out what I wanted to do with my life, so I always imagined him giving me a thumbs up about the path my life has taken. Alzheimer's came into our family at a time that, for me, was bad timing because it was covalent with my youth, my teen years. I try to write about this in the book. In many ways, the novel I wrote gave me a chance to figure out some of the things that I was feeling about all this in retrospect. I came to high school teaching after teaching at the college level for a few years. It was hard to write my book while I was teaching. I had to make the time to do it. There wasn't really time, I just had to find the time and make the time. I would write late at night. I would write when I was done with everything else. I was writing it at home at the kitchen table. We lived in a one-bedroom apartment, my wife and I, with our twins. I never owned a home when I was writing this book, and closed on a house the day before I sold the book. So I was really done with the book when I had my first experience of home ownership. But I find it fascinating, actually, to think about the way owning a home changes one's life, changes one's orientation toward the world. I never wanted to give up. I never wanted to stop writing it. At some point, I decided that I had to write full-time. I had finally come to the point where the risk of not finishing was greater than the risk of facing enormous bills that we couldn't pay, or the fear of not having another job. So when I made that decision, there was tremendous pressure on me to make this worthwhile and to use my time efficiently. I wrote the majority of this book by hand in notebooks. I worked in these notebooks that were 70 pages long and easily torn off sheets for when I would make mistakes and want to get rid of a whole sheet. I typed it up, I would print it up, and then I would edit by hand on a printed document, retype those changes, again, a few rounds of those edits. I never intended to write a very long novel. I just wanted to write the story and tell the whole story. I never got over my baseball preoccupation. I love the game. I love following it. I love talking about it. Obviously, I enjoyed writing about it in this novel. I tried to write the book as I saw it, as I understood it in my mind, and sometimes that meant not sparing my characters' difficult experiences, and it meant not shielding them from their own mistakes. I hoped to love the characters all the time while never stinting on presenting them in the full complexity of their humanity, which is sometimes uncomfortable. And I hoped that if I loved them, while not always having to like at them at any given moment, I could encourage a reader to conspire in understanding their humanity. Yeah! All right, give me that curve, that little curve that you value so highly.
The one you just struck out on?
The one that was way off the plate, yeah.